Okay, perfect. Thank you for this introduction to my session that will be overcoming the collaboration gap. Actually, Transport and one of our members did a survey along the many customers and also transportation companies operating with them, and actually collaboration was one of the key levers. The everybody answering was saying could be helping in supporting the digital and decarbonization transition. So everybody recognized the value of collaboration. However, it has been tested very complex to collaborate. So then, in a recent presentation from IMEC, one of our members, I see it's not that we don't want to collaborate, it's that we are unable to collaborate. We don't have the means to collaborate. And then there is where I'm going to share somehow how there are instruments that are making this collaboration possible. And through a few examples, I will dive into this journey and how we are supporting this from Ali's side. So let's moving into one of the key challenges that particularly road transport is facing. It's about decarbonization of road transport. This would mean that we need to look for alternative fuels, and now particularly a lot of push on electrification, as you could see from the policy side. And we see in other parts of the globe, we see more and more electrification being mainstream. So however, the full transition, or the way in which we can look into that, it's not that a single company can develop a good electrification strategy, because there are a lot of interdependencies between the different stakeholders. So first, we need the vehicles. We need charging or refueling infrastructure in case of hydrogen or other fuels. Of course, important now is also we need to have business case for transportation companies and buyers. It cannot be that when we move to electrification, we pay a lot of premium because of the emissions. So then this is very important. And then in order to actually decarbonize, we need to make sure that there is enough green renewable energy and the grid has enough capacity. So here there are ingredients that they need to be in place for making electrification possible. And of course, this requires collaboration, and it's very difficult, as it was mentioned by Alberto, to find the motivation and the resources to actually embrace this collaboration. So for that, in Alice, we worked already with some partners, particularly the European Commission, in developing a partnership under Horizon Europe. And this partnership is 2.0, and we did together with a sister platform that it's focus on the automotive and road transportation sector, and with another platform, sister platform, that is linked to renewable energy, and another that is more on energy systems, CPOs, DSOs, and TSOs. And then through this partnership, we created a program, 2.0 program, and that is putting the around 1,200 million in place between 2021 and 2027. So in particular, there are a lot of investments out of this program that several of them, and this is an example, have gone into how to accelerate the integration of heavy-duty vehicles in long-distance freight transportation. And there are a few projects that have been started from the vehicle point of view, and I will go a little bit in detail later, CEFES, and then others that are starting to work more on the infrastructure, multi-point megawatt charging, and how to integrate public and open infrastructure. So then the first steps to have these open and public megawatt charging points, and these are Macbeth and Flex MCS. And then there are other projects that have been working more on the hydrogen side. So then, all these projects are linked to this Aeveto cluster, in which we collaborate and we find synergies across all these projects, and we share this through our Alice network. So as an example of CEFES, that could be a good example of each of these projects. It's addressing many different challenges that are there when we are transforming or willing to move from diesel road-based transportation to electric charging. And here you see in the right side slide the different demonstrations that are starting already in September with all these type of vehicle configurations using battery electric trucks, but also hydrogen fuel cell hydrogen trucks, and it's done across different type of companies, shippers, and also transportation companies, and in collaboration, of course, with OEMs, charging points, and creating really a very practical lab to already implement these technologies in practice. And most of the work that we have done in this last year was really to enable the conditions for these demonstrations to take place. But for that, it's a big learning for all the companies that have been involved in this process, and this will be prepared for future. And the beauty of this is that for these pioneer companies that are doing this, the European Commission is facilitating up to 80% of the cost. So then most of the cost to run these demonstrations are actually funded by European Commission through the program I was mentioning before. And this is a case on electrification. Then on intermodality, that it's also very, very relevant, and we see there is no such a thing of a modal shift. This was one white paper we published recently. Actually, we are now working internally in Alice, and now we start, based on some mandate we received from some shippers, we started working on Alice Express as a collaborative initiative between shippers. Now we are integrating also multimodal transport companies into the initiative, and we together we are now starting a new innovation project called Ikigai that will support the innovation required to scale up this collaboration framework, and actually provide resources to address the various challenges that we have identified in the last year, and that at the end it's creating the conditions that in which we are not able to increase the use of multimodal. Of course, as it was mentioned, now the market conditions are not that good for intermodality. Road prices are very low, and this is affecting the comparable competitiveness of intermodality. But in any case, we are finding this a way to reduce overall the cost to move and co-create new intermodal routes and solutions. So then we can, when market conditions are adequate, we can move faster to those intermodal solutions, and then create more long-lasting competitive intermodal solutions overall. Then we move to a more advanced topic, or maybe more futuristic. We are also working in a similar partnership like 2.0. It's called SICAM, that is based on road automation. And here you see an example of a project called Muri that is really focusing on L4 automated driving features. And we see, for example, this we are doing together in a project with our member Einride, but also Volvo, also Gruber Logistics is part of this consortium, DFDS, and other Alice members are part, and non-members, of course. And we are actually learning a lot, not only on what is the value of this L4 automation, but also what could bring value on lower levels of automation like L2 or L2++. And these projects are actually giving the opportunity to look and embrace and test the technology in a less invest risky conditions, because it's co-funded by the European Commission, and these projects also give access to a broad network of stakeholders, all of those that are in need to be when this happens, meaning the OEMs, the infrastructure managers, the city managers, and also the technological features. For example, here you see in one of the tests that have been done, how the truck it's able to recognize a boy that is crossing a street when the visibility probably is not good, but the truck is able to recognize that person. So if we move forward, and then I would say on the resilience point of view, I'm not going into the detail. We all know what is happening and what's going on in the last few months and how this is affecting lives, but also supply chain. So then we need a more capability to really be better prepared for disruptions in our supply chain. So here it's an example of two projects that we were calling from Alice to be funded, and they are now starting on the third year. And it's Saril and Remunet that are actually working on how to increase the capability of logistics and supply chain to have more resilience practice, in meaning that have systems that can help them to maneuver better when a disruption comes. So then the last one is I mentioned already, Ikigai, that it's for us very important project starting now, because at the end combines the two roadmaps, the physical internet roadmap and the roadmap towards zero emissions, trying to really create and move from these logistics innovations to a more comprehensive innovation roadmap. And to do that, we do in a very operational way. So then we are looking on 5 key logistics innovations, moving from the Alice Express, as I mentioned, also the compliance of small SMEs with the electronic freight transport information on how to enable this connectivity. Then in the urban domain on how to use concepts like hyper-connected logistics hubs. Then more linked to the emissions measuring and reporting. And the last one is how to create cross retail, cross manufacturer networks by making use of a returnable box, a smart box. And this is all these are already in operations, and then the project will look into how to accelerate and scale up these innovations. And this will be done through different pilots that will help actually to not only support the scale up of these innovations, but also learn and find out on how to create a framework for this acceleration to happen and be implemented in many other innovations through our Alice framework and these programs that are in place for being used by the industry. So with that, I finish my presentation. Sorry, I give the last one. It's what we say in Alice, and I think this is important, is that the best way to predict the future is to co-create it. So then to navigate this complexity at the end, we can have two different ways to approach this. Is either we take things as they come, or we tried with this increased visibility on the market evolution, the innovation evolution, the technologies that are coming, trying to anticipate and understand what are the challenges, so then we are more ready when the challenge arrives. And for that, it's clearly that together we can co-create this future and really create it, this future. And then the other one is that probably for us, at least, we need to look into high-level objectives. Maybe we don't reach them, but if we reach them, probably is that we were not targeting the right objective, because we were not demanding enough with ourselves to move forward. And with this, I finish my presentation. So then I hand over to Andrea for if there is any question or
yeah, we have a couple.
We have a couple
of questions.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm not one of the speakers, since I would have no idea on how to answer the first one. So the first one is, could modern supply chain approaches like demand-driven material requirements planning be the key to overcoming complexities? So I leave it open, let's say, to the different speakers. Who does want to take a lead?
Maybe I can start from the point of view of the observatory. Thank you, Elvina, for the challenging demand. About our research, we didn't go in detail on a specific models. It's something that probably we would like to do about the collaboration. I think that the new models, like the one that you say, could be, of course, a possible solution in order to overcome complexity. But we need, of course, to take in consideration which could be the time to serve of the market and the possible supply chain interruption that can affect also this kind of model. In my opinion, I think it could be effective in specific cases, but we need, and the company need, of course, to work more and more on the planning. We need to leverage on the importance of the data. We need to try to implement maybe artificial intelligence to support all this process. But I think the most important area of work is to be more and more flexible in try to react to this very unpredictable scenario. I hope to have answered more or less to your question. I don't know if someone want to add something. This is point of view by your observatory.
Let me do a try, and definitely this is not a plan question from my colleague Elvina. Because at the end, I need to admit I'm not very familiar with this driven material requirement planning, and this is something that it's a way in which we work in Alice, because it's not forbidden to challenge the boss in this case with these difficult questions. But what I could say, in not understanding, and I would need to go deeper into the concept, what I can see is that, for example, now most of the automotive strategy that is going to be in place is really looking on the scarcity of materials and how you can get, even for these complex supply chains, making sure you can be more, you have more sovereignty on the resource planning. So when you are part of a supply chain, you need to develop your products and services. You need very critical materials when they are in your supply chain. If you can retain in your supply chain, this can make you very robust and resilient, because you are not anymore in need to source those materials. So I would say that when looking into the concept, even if I don't know, then it's really trying to challenge the probable mantra of you can get the materials and the components you need for your supply chains. And this we see it's been challenged more and more because of different crises that we have had, like semiconductors and all that. But when you are able to then embrace this reality of the scarcity, and you can really create, even for these complex products, circular supply chains, then you can start creating a little bit more sovereignty and less dependency of different countries. And then, for example, this is a new area that we will see more and more, at least from the research and innovation side, in the next period, looking into circularity and resource management. And I
Many
don't know.
thanks.
I'll need to look into the concrete definition
But
of
at
trade
least
and material requirement planning.
Elvina is accepting it, let's say, as
Okay.
replies. Let's say second question is related on the collaboration concept that has been mentioned. Partially, you have already replied, let's say, after the question was posed in the chat, but I would love you to let's say, go in a little bit on the topic itself. So when we're speaking about collaboration, what does it mean? Vertical compilation along the logistic chain, horizontal compilation among the competitors. So what is collaboration about?
Yeah. Here there are different angles, and Bas, thank you for the question. And I think we have been discussing around this topic for a lot of years, and I will provide where I'm now. I think important collaboration is particularly between companies and research and innovation. At the end, I think one important component is that to look into the challenges also from a research and innovation academic, so then we can address that practical challenges from a knowledge-based case. So then this is important, and what we see is that because of the innovation cycles, it's probably very difficult now to move into the process in which you do research, you get results, you demonstrate the results, and then you find and create innovations and you scale up. This is so long that probably when you are in the middle, somebody has created a new model. So then at the end, basic research is important and creating these concepts is important, but it's even more important to collaborate from the implementation. So researchers are really involved in the first of a kind implementation of these innovative solutions to really learn and understand the basics and how this should be supported from research and innovation. Then on the other side, I think what it's important is to create the framework standards and conditions to make collaboration easy. So then it's really to remove the barriers for collaboration. It's the focus. Really, companies is not to collaborate on a particular operation, because this is somehow the return on investment, and to keep that collaboration is very complex, but it can be more collaborating to create a new system in which and define a new system with standards, with ways of working, in which it's much more easy to find and capitalize for synergies and the value of collaboration. So it's how I always said finding the mechanisms to make collaboration at marginal cost. An example is that when SIPers start to work with new logistics service providers, there are always many new integrations between systems, information systems. And this is a cost that both SIPers and logistics service need to bear with, but are actually providing any value. So then, but most of the services and the operations are the same. So why these complex integration processes? And there is where one of the aims of physical internet really to, particularly for some commodity processes, establish standards that are universal and then can create this possibility for new partners when you agree to collaborate to start collaborating as you agree, not collaborate and then need to start understanding how you want to run that collaboration. It's the same here if we have to learn Italian or Spanish to start collaborating with our friends of Politecnico. But this is what normally happens in logistics. You need to learn something on the other side to start collaborating. But here we have English, and then we can start collaborating immediately. And this
Thanks, Ben.
English is what we need in and where we need to focus. And we will focus on this in Ikigai, for example. Yeah.
Thanks. Do we go directly on the conclusion, or let's say from the speakers, other comments related to the collaboration framework?